Hi, and welcome to the last video on this note-taking guide. We're going to be discussing evaluating expressions, formulas, and using the order of operations. So we have some steps, and you'll see me use this a lot. I will write out the steps in the process for you, and it's a great little guide, at least I think it's a great guide, to help you work through the problems. So when we have an expression and we need to evaluate it for certain values, first thing we're going to do, if we need to, is we're going to use that distributive property and get rid of our parentheses. Whoop. Went a little bit over my line there on distributive. And then after that, we're going to combine like terms if we can. We're going to clean it up a little bit. And after, we're going to substitute the given values for the variables or for the letters. And after that, we're going to simplify that expression and we're going to use the order of operations. Now, mathematicians have the order of operations so that when we're looking at a problem, we're all solving it the same way and we all arrive at the same answer because we're following the same steps. So if we do things in different order, we'll all come out with different answers, and we want to come out and proceed through this process and everyone get the same answer. And I'm sure that everyone probably remembers the order of operations. There's a little saying that goes with it, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And the first letter of that phrase stands for how we proceed through a math problem. So P, please, stands for parentheses. So we're going to do everything inside the parentheses first. Followed by excuse, we're going to use exponents next. Then, my dear, we multiply or divide left to right as it occurs in the expression. And the last thing we do, we are going to Aunt Sally, or add, or subtract, once again, left to right as they occur in the problem. So don't forget, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I had a student in one of my classes when I taught at the college in Petoskey would always say, please excuse my dead Aunt Sally, or Sarah, or something. So you can excuse your dear aunt or your dead aunt, whatever you prefer. Looking at our first example, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, we're going to take care of what's inside the parentheses first. In this case, we have 36 minus 4. 36 minus 4 is 32. And then we simply write the rest of the problem down as it occurs. Please, we're up to excuse. So that means I need to take care of that exponent. So here I've got 32 divided by 8. I just write it down. Minus 36. 6 times 6. And remember, the negative sign is only affected by that exponent if it's in a parenthesis. So this case it isn't, so it doesn't have any power over that negative. So we did please, excuse. Now we're to my dear. That means multiply or divide left or right. And we read our math sentences just like we read regular sentences left to right. So looking at this, I have this division first. 32 divided by 8 is 4. And I write the rest of the problem down. Now I'm Aunt Sally. So that's add or subtract left to right. And I have 4 minus 36 will give me negative 32. I'd like you to try this next example on your own, but I want to give you a little hint before you pause the video and get started. Where you start when you have multiple parentheses is with the innermost parenthesis first. So you're going to take care of this 13 plus 7 first and write the rest of the problem down and then follow through. So start with the innermost parentheses and work your way outward, always following that order of operations throughout the entire problem. So please go ahead, pause the video, and turn it back on and see how you did. Okay, so we start with that innermost parenthesis. So I just write the rest of the problem down, which is going to be 16 divided by 8. Oops, I forgot to write my 8 in. Excuse me, let me erase that here and start over. Let's give it another try. So we have the parenthesis and then 16 divided by 8, quantity squared, plus, and I'm going to put that outside parenthesis down and take care of 13 plus 7, which is 20, plus 2 squared. So I still have parentheses to deal with, so I'm not off of that parentheses step. So I take care of what's inside each of these parentheses individually. So 16 divided by 8 is 2 squared, plus, and I still follow the order of operations in this second parentheses, 20 plus and 2 squared is 4. Continuing on, I've got 2 squared plus 20 plus 4 is 24. So I'm done with my parentheses at this point. So now I can move on to exponents. And 2 squared is going to give me 2 times 2, which is 4, plus 24. And the last thing I do in this case is add or subtract left to right, and that is 28. I hope you did well on that. If not, ask me for another example problem the next time we're together. In example 10, we're asked to evaluate the expression 8x plus 3y minus 2x when x is 5 and y is negative 4. That says that every place there's an x, we're going to substitute in 5, and everywhere I have a y, I'm going to substitute in negative 4. So I write that as 8 times 5 plus 3, and my y's are negative 4, minus 2 times 5. So I'm just substituting the value in for the variable. Now I follow my order of operations. Please, do I have any parentheses? No. Excuse, no exponents, so I multiply or divide left to right as it occurs. So here I've got 40, 5 times 8 is 40. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, and negative 2 times 5 is minus 10. So I'm done with multiplying or dividing. Now I add or subtract left to right. 40 minus 12 is 28, and I just write the rest of that problem down, minus 10. 28 minus 10 is 18. Please proceed to the next problem and evaluate 3 times the quantity A minus B minus 4 times the quantity A plus B when A is 8 and B is negative 2. Pause the video now and turn it on in a few minutes when you're finished and check your answer. Okay, let's see how we did. We're going to substitute A equals 8 and B equals negative 2 in for A and B. So I have 3 times the quantity 8 minus a negative 2 minus 4 times 8 minus 2. Doing inside the parentheses first, I have 3, and minus a minus is plus, so we have 8 plus 2 is 10, minus 4 times 8 minus 2 is 6. So take care of inside that parentheses first, and remember that two negatives multiplied together make a positive, so minus a minus 2 is a positive 2. So please, we don't have any exponents for excuse, my dear, so we multiply or divide left to right. 3 times 10 is 30. Negative 4 times 6 is minus 24. And now we add or subtract, and we get an answer of 6. The next example is a little bit more complicated, so I wanted to do that one for you. So I substitute in to b minus 2a all over b times c squared minus d when a is negative 2, b is 4, c is negative 1, and d is 3. So b is 4, so I have 4 minus 2 times negative 2 in my numerator, or top of my equation, over b, which is 4, times c, which is negative 1 squared, minus d, which is 3. When you're dealing with a fraction, it's the same as having parentheses around the numerator and the denominator. You do them separately and follow the order of operations in the numerator and follow the order of operations in the denominator. So just looking at my numerator, I have 4, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So I have 4 plus 4 for my numerator. In my denominator, I need to take care of my exponent first. So I'm going to have 4 times 1, because negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1, minus 3. Continuing on, I'm going to take the next step in my numerator, and I have 4 plus 4 is 8. In my denominator, I need to take care of this multiplication. I've got 4 times 1, which is 4 minus 3. And continuing on, simplifying my denominator, I'm going to have 8 over 1, or that's simply 8. Go ahead and try and do example 13. You're going to need to locate the expression, determine what those variables stand for, and also find the values that are given before you can evaluate and determine the profit. So go ahead, pause the video now, and start on example 13. When you're finished, turn on and see how well you've done. Okay, let's see how you did. A supplier of electronic components charges P dollars for the transformer. It costs C dollars to make. The profit of the sale of the transformer is P minus C. So there's my expression to determine profit. I've got P minus C, where P is how much he charges for it, or the price, and C is the cost to make it. So when I'm doing word problems, I sometimes, most of the time, write the variables down here and here equal to and what they stand for. And then I continue reading. What is the profit on the transformer that costs $18 to make? So cost $18, I just continue that line and write in 18, and sells for 35. Now I have my variables and the values identified, so I simply substitute them in, and I get 35 minus 18, follow my order of operations, and I get $17. He is going to earn a $17 profit on this example. The following guided practice problems are in your self-check on the website. Please complete them and write all your work on your note-taking guide and enter your answers into the online self-assessment.